All right, what is up, you guys? So today is November 1st, and I was supposed to record this video October 30th because October 30th was an amazing day. October 30th was 6 months since my fire. And I don't really get like too personal on Instagram, but that day I really got personal. I ended up posting about my fire. And so it's been like 6 months, and I kind of wanted to make this video to just give a little update, to give what happened. I feel like since I shared that, I kind of owe it to explain what happened, how it happened, and everything like that. So to start off, I had just moved into my first apartment. I've been having an apartment, but not by myself. I've never had an apartment by myself, like something that I worked for, something that I got on my own. And so I ended up getting my apartment and everything, and I absolutely loved it. Like my apartment, I had like little small furniture and things like that. I didn't have everything, but I had enough for me, everything that I had worked for. And I had got my apartment June 19th of 2020. And so my birthday is April 26th. I had turned 26. It was my golden birthday. And 4 days later, my life changed. Like, I would have never thought that this would have happened to me. I've been through some traumatic experiences, but this was something new. So I was working as a security guard. And at first I was actually working from home at this, I don't even want to say the company name, but it was the call center. And I really wasn't even making that much. I was making $11 an hour, working from home, and I ended up getting a job opportunity to work as a security guard, making 15. So I took that job offer, turned all my equipment in, and started working as the security guard. And so let me tell you how God works, because when I started working at the security company, I lived on the second floor. And so my apartment was 3 floors. So the person above me across actually ended up working at the same security company. It's crazy. Ended up working and I did not get the job through them. But when I started working there, we found out that, we were neighbors and that we were working at the same place. And he had a dog, I had a dog, and our dogs kind of got along, and he knew my dog and everything, and I knew his dog. And so going back to April 30th, right? I get up. I used to have to be to work for 6, I think, like 6 or 7. And I think it was 6. Yeah, I used to have to be to work for 6 because I would wake up like at 4:45, somewhere around there. And so I had to be to work for 6. I remember this day. I got up, woke up, got my breakfast and everything, and I could tell that something was off because my dog wasn't acting normal. Like normally he would be like super excited to go for his walks and everything, but he just wasn't acting himself. And so I walk him, I get ready, I head out to work, and it's raining. And at this time, it's kind of like drizzling a little bit, and I just kept having a bad feeling, and I honestly thought I was gonna get into a wreck. But later on, we will find out that's not what the bad feeling was. So I get to work, and my neighbor who lived above me is the person who I was relieving. He was working overnight. And so we relieved each other, told him have a good day, whatever. And, I get to work. So I'm working, and I get a call. No one at the job knew that we were neighbors. Like no one knew that we knew each other already. But I ended up getting a call from the manager, and she's like, hey, your neighbor, I don't want to say his name, but she's like, your neighbor said to call him. Something's up with the apartment. Something's on fire or something. And so when she says that, she actually didn't say that it was a fire. She just said something's up with the apartment. She was like, y'all live in the same apartment or something? He says to call him. She said something like that. And I was like, okay. So at this time, we already had like people coming in So I'm not really thinking nothing of it. Like I'm rushing to call him, but at the same time, it's like we have people, so I'm trying to get the people out the way. I did not have his personal number, so I had to look on a list that they had posted to find his number. And so I'm looking. I finally get his number, and I call him. I call him from the job. And before I could even like say anything, he's frantic. Like he's going off. He's like, "Where's your key? Where's your key? Where's your key?" And I'm like, "What key? What key?" He's like, "Where is your spare key?" He's like, "The apartment above yours got struck by lightning. Where is King?" And as soon as he said that, I'm like, "Oh my God." So at the time, King, which is my dog, if no one knows, King is my dog, and he wasn't used to being out of his kennel just yet. So I kept him in his kennel in my room. And so I was like, he's in the room. And I'm like, I don't have a spare key. And I'm getting chills. I'm like, I don't have a spare key, like, you know. And at this moment, like, you guys, everything happened so fast. I like hopped up from my seat. I literally left everything at work. I grabbed my keys, I grabbed my purse, and like I told the person that I was working with, I was like, my apartment is on fire, I have to go. And thank God for her, she was so understanding. She's like, just go. Like, she's like, go handle it. So by this time, you guys, I get in the car, it is pouring down rain. Like, it is thundering, it is pouring down, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this cannot be happening. Like, this cannot be true. And so the first thing that comes to my mind is like, you know, who can I call? So I ended up calling my boyfriend at the time, and I'm like, babe, my apartment is on fire. Like, King is stuck inside. Because at this moment, you know, I didn't even get all the details of everything. And mind you, I did not have my coworker's personal number. Like, I just left. So at this moment, like, I'm not aware of even what's going on at the apartment except for what he told me. My boyfriend at the time stayed waiting Katie, which it would have took him like, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes to even get to my apartment, probably even longer, because it was early and it was traffic, it was raining. And I was maybe about 25, 30 minutes from my apartment. That's where my job, the distance between my job and the apartment. So I hurry up, I hang up the phone with him, I call my mom. Mind you guys, it's like super early in the morning. Like, I'm trying to see who could I call that's up, or, you know, who will answer. So I call my mom, and you know, of course, I'm just like all over the place. I'm like, Mom, my apartment's on fire and King is still inside. And she's like, what? So she hops up. I hear her, like, you know, trying to grab stuff. I hear her. She just like goes into mom mode, right? She's like, oh my God, oh my God. So she's telling me to drive careful because, like I said, you guys, it was thunderstorming. I was sliding on the freeway. Like, everybody on the freeway had hazard lights on. Like, everybody had hazard lights on. You couldn't even see the cars in front of you. Like, that's how bad it was raining. And all I could remember was I was just trying to get there. I did not think I was gonna cry. All I could remember was I was just trying to get there. You know, because in my mind, I'm like, I don't know what type of fire this is. I don't know how bad the fire is, and I don't know if they got King out. And I lived at the apartment with just me and my dog. It was just me and my baby. So my mom, she's on the phone with me. She's trying to get me to calm down. She's trying to get me to drive careful. My mom stayed about 20 minutes from my apartment. So she calls my two other sisters who stayed at the neighborhood across from my apartments. They stayed with my grandma at the time. And so I can hear her calling them on her other phone, and all of the, you know, I hear everybody's just like trying to go into this mode of helping me. And by this time, I'm maybe about like 15 minutes away from my apartment, just still frantic, scared, because I don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden I get a FaceTime from my sister. I will never forget how it looked on FaceTime with her. When my sister FaceTimed me, all I could see was red flames and black smoke. Like, I couldn't even see my sister's face because of how bad the fire was. And I just like, I have never gone into a shock like this, but I just started screaming. Like, I've never even, like, the way that I screamed, I've never screamed like that before. And I just started screaming because everything. Give me one second. Oh, sorry, you guys. Everything that I had worked for, it was gone. And if anybody knows me, they know how hard that I have worked to have the things that I have. Coming from, I'm the second oldest of 8 kids from my mom. My mom has always been a single parent, and I have always worked for everything that I have. And to just see it gone so quick, it was heartbreaking. It was hard to watch. But anyway, so I'm screaming, and my sister's like, "Lay, calm down." She's like, listen. She's like, they did a dog rescue. They let King out, but no one knows where he is. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh my God. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I was relieved, but I still was in disbelief because I'm like, I need to see him. I need to see him in order to know that he's alive. And so what happened with that was when the fire department, they had to do a dog rescue, so meaning they had to break my door down to go in and get him. And but when they were trying to pull out his kennel, but his kennel was so big they couldn't get it out in enough time, so they just let it up. But King does this thing where like he just takes off, so he ended up taking off and no one could grab him. And so at that moment, I know he's scared, you know, he's looking for me. And so so I get that confirmation when I'm maybe like 10 minutes, maybe about between 5 and 10 minutes down the road. And I'm driving down the road, you guys, and the road where like I'm about to go to my apartment, I just seen like black smoke in the sky. Like you just could see it, and I just knew, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is just getting worse and worse and worse. Like, because from what I thought was a fire was something like small, you know, you put out with a fire extinguisher, but no, this was the whole building. So as I'm driving down the street, mind you guys, I'm still on the line, like everybody's still on the line with each other. I'm driving down the street, and I finally just get to the road where I'm about to pull into my apartments, and it's completely blocked off. There's like over 12 fire trucks. There's police officers out there. You just see a whole bunch of people just all in the street. Like, it's just super crazy. And so I literally I hop out of my car. I can't even remember if I turned my car off or what, but I hop out the car and like I'm just running. I'm running up to my apartment. In front of my apartment was a small playground. And I just remember losing all limb in my body. Like I just fell to the ground, and I just was looking, and I was just crying. And I remember the fire department, they come and they're like, "Ma'am, you can't be right here. It's too much smoke. Like we have to move you." And like they're trying to get me up, but you guys, like I just could not move. Like I was such in a shock, like I couldn't believe it. And so I finally remember my sister running up to me, and she's like, Lay, and like she's hugging me. And so at this point, all of my family is there, but everybody's like all over the place. So I don't even remember what I did with my phone at that point. I don't remember having my phone. So I remember, like, you know, as things are happening, I remember seeing like my mom, I remember seeing my siblings, and then I see my aunt, my cousin, like everybody's out there. You guys, it's pouring raining, like literally, I can't even, it was pouring raining. By this time, everybody's drenched in complete water. Everybody's like crying, you know, everybody just, I know that my family, they felt my hurt to see that happening. So anyway, everybody goes into looking for king mode. Like, we're looking for a king, you know, we're running around. Like, at this point, I couldn't even process the fire part. I just wanted to look for him. And so we're looking, everybody's running around, we're looking. I'm asking for people, you know, have y'all seen a dog? Have y'all seen a dog? Like, no one has seen him. We're constantly looking. So my mom, she's like, well, where he would go, where you would walk him. And I'm like, well, I only would walk him in 3 places, which was by the mailbox, which they had that blocked off, the park, which they had that blocked off, and the park across the street where my grandma stayed. So those other areas we looked, we couldn't find him. So I went to the park across the street, but he wasn't there. So long story short on that, we searched for King for 3 hours. You guys, the fire went on. It took them like 2.5 hours to put the fire out because it was electric fire. And then on top of that, it was raining. So the fire literally just kept spreading and spreading and spreading. So it took them a really long time to put the fire out. And so I remember I'm looking, like, my feet was hurting. Everybody's drenched in water, and I'm getting upset even more and more because I'm like, as time is running, I know we can't stay out here looking for him all day, especially with the way that it was raining. And so I remember my mom walking up to me, and like, I had a feeling she was gonna tell me that like we needed to go, and I was just like, I started crying more because I'm like, I can't leave him, like I can't leave my baby. And it was that sense of that emotion of just knowing that he was lost and there was nothing that I could do. I know some people think that dogs are just dogs, but this is my baby. This is my baby. And I feel so bad because he was scared and I left him, and I just don't know how he was feeling at that time. And I just wish that I could do everything to just have him. And so we're looking. And so finally my mom, like I said, she's walking up to me. I start crying even more. She's like, listen. She's like, everybody needs to get in their cars and let's go drive around and look for him. And so I'm like, okay. So she gets in my car with me, and you know, she's trying to calm me down. Like, my mom was trying to calm me down because I was just so upset. Like, I was just crying. And we find, like, 5 minutes later, I get a call from my sister, and they say that they found him. And he was at the park, you guys. And I don't know, I think like we just kept bypassing each other because every time like I would call for him, maybe he would go to that spot and then I would leave from that spot, and he would, you know, we just kept bypassing each other. Because even when I was looking for him, people be like, oh, I just saw him go that way, oh, he just went that way, and I saw him go that way 20 minutes ago. And it's like we just kept bypassing each other. So we had finally found him. I was so relieved. My baby, he was scared, he was shaking, he was wet. And I was just so like, once he saw me, he was like just super happy, and I just held him, and I was like, okay, now we can go home. I couldn't even just look at the apartment anymore. I just could not even process that. I was just happy to have him. And so yeah, you know, I have my baby, we drive home, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys on the steps that I took. On the way home, I'm driving with my mom and my older brother and King, and you know, I just prayed. I prayed, and I worshiped God in that moment. Because when it happened, I was so angry. You know, we go through these moments of we question God, why me? Why this time? I hadn't even been in my apartment a year, you guys. I hadn't even been in my apartment for a year. It was coming up on a year. But I was so angry with him because I'm like, you let me go through all of this hard work to get this apartment, and then you take my stuff away from me. How could you do that? I did it on my own. I worked on my own for so long. I struggled for so long, and you just took it. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? If you love me, why would you do that to me? And it hurt. It hurt so bad. And there's even days now, you guys, where I struggle sometimes because it's a flashback, you know, and even there will be things that come up and it's like, oh, I don't have that because, you know, the fire. But I prayed and I worshiped him, and you know, I just let the enemy know that it wasn't gonna bring me down. Like, I may be upset right now, but I know that something better was gonna come out of it. I know that it was only gonna make me stronger, you know, and everything happens for a reason. And so I knew that God was using me. You know, he was using me, and I may not have understood at that moment. But as days come to pass, you know, I was able to grasp everything and just pick myself up. I ended up going to work, like, not the next day, but the next day. I went back to work. I had the whatever uniform I had on, and I let them know, like, I am gonna need more uniform, but I'm coming back to work. And so yeah, I did what I had to do to continue to pick myself back up. And I received so much help from the community, from Red Zone. My cousin and actually my homegirl, they ended up coming up with the idea of making a GoFundMe. And me being me, I was like, I never thought I would need a GoFundMe. But I had a lot of people who donated, and thank you to all those people who donated their time, their money, to even just gift me, you know, that Red Zone. I think that ended up happening. So I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this story, but he ended up messaging me. Red, which is the owner of the gym that I work at, ended up messaging me, and he's like, hey, can you come in? And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm like, Red, I don't have no shoes, no clothes to wear to Red Zone. What do you need me to come up there for? Like, like, I don't have anything to wear. And honestly, I think what I ended up wearing was, I went to go get like some little quick stuff from Walmart, and I ended up wearing that up there. But I got there, and he ended up giving me an envelope with some money that everybody had donated to me. And I cried. Like, I cried in the office because when you're a person that's not used to receiving help and you're having to get help, like, it's a very humbling experience. It humbled me to a whole nother level. To see that people cared and that they were reaching out to help me. You know, they didn't have to do that. And so I ended up getting help from them, and I was so grateful. Like, just that blessed me tremendously. And yeah, so like after that, I mean, you know, as the days went by, it was hard. Like I said, here we are 6 months later. It's still kind of hard. I have my days. I have more better days than bad days. I should say that. You know, it doesn't get all that hard, but sometimes I do just forget about some stuff that I have. Like recently, a jacket came up. Like, where's your jacket? And I was like, oh, I don't have no jacket. And even after, like, it would be hard sometimes because after that, I went to go stay with my mom and then my boyfriend at the time. And I would get off work some days, and I would start driving to my apartment, and I would forget that the apartment wasn't there, so I'd have to make a U-turn and go the opposite way. Or I remember one time my mom, we were all talking about what we were gonna eat that night, and I was like, oh yeah, I got some fajita meat at the house. And like, it got quiet, everybody looked at me, and I was like, did not think that through. I don't have the fajita meat no more. So everybody kind of just like laughed about it, and you know, it just became a thing where it's like, okay, you know, yeah, can't cry about it no more. And I cried during this video, and I honestly didn't think that I was, but it gets emotional sometimes, you know. Just like I said, just seeing everything that I lost, everything that I had just be gone in seconds. It was hard. I know a lot of people had asked me if I had insurance. So at the time, I did not have insurance. I had insurance when I started moving into the apartment, when I first was moving in the apartment. But like I said, at the time, I was only making $11 an hour, I was barely making it for my bills. And then I was doing a delivery service as well, because that would make up the extra amount of money that I needed for my extra bills or for like food and stuff like that. And at the time, I was just like, okay, I don't really need renter's insurance right now. So I was like, I could take it off. I could save that money. And definitely should have kept the renter's insurance. But, you know, everything happens for a reason. I still was blessed after, you know, and through the process, it has made me stronger. It's made me, I had already valued everything that I had because, like I said, I worked so hard for these things. But the fire made me see things in a different light. You know, it made me appreciate things a lot more. And it makes me want to go harder a lot more, you know, and things like that. And so I feel like with the process, I've learned to value and to be grateful, you know, for things that I have, and to not only that, but just know that things can happen in the blink of an eye. Like that, your life can change within 24 hours. I felt so bad. My heart went out because our whole unit burned. I felt so bad for my neighbor. I felt bad for all my neighbors. I felt bad for the people who had just moved in. There were a couple of people who had just moved in on the other side, like literally not even 2 months before that. I felt bad for the kids who lost everything. You know, a lot of kids, the kids that lived in the building, all their toys. I'm over here crying about my stuff, and they lost everything too. And so to give a little detail about my apartment, and I'll upload some pictures. But I did not, like I said, I didn't have a lot in my apartment. I did, like, I had a bed, you know, little mirror and stuff like that. I had a couple of things because it was just me. And the fire didn't reach all the way down into my apartment, but I had a lot of water damage. They didn't allow us to come and see our unit until, like, I don't know, like 2 weeks later. They had to make sure they got the approval from the fire department that it was sustainable for us to go and walk in. But by the time that we got to be able to walk in, like, the whole ceiling was collapsed in. There was mold everywhere, completely mold everywhere. Everything was just burned, just gone to pieces. And I want to share something. So I now closed it out with this. So in my apartment, if you know me, you know that I'm spiritual. I'm not ashamed to talk about my relationship with God. I absolutely loved him. That man has saved me. But in my apartment, I had a spiritual shelf, which is where I kept, like, my sage. I kept my Bible. This book here is my journal that I write, like, my prayers. I write, you know, just me talking to God and things like that, my motivational stuff. And I want to show you guys how this book survived. Like, my whole spiritual shelf, excuse me, my whole spiritual shelf, it got wet, but nothing got destroyed. And I think that's so amazing. If you can see, like, a lot of the pages got wet, a lot of the ink had spread, but on certain things it's still readable. You know, there's a lot of things, like, see, if you look here, you can tell, like, it got wet and stuff, but you can still make out some of the words: pray, 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 get closer to God, right? There's so many things that you can still just read. You can still just read it. It got wet, and it's crazy because I was gonna throw it away, and because it was super wet and the paper was sticking to each other. And you can see here it says to surrender to God, you know, submit to him. And my mom, she was like, no, don't throw it away, don't throw it away. And I'm like, well, Mom, it's destroyed. She's like, it just needs to dry, just let it dry. And if you go, like, see here, you can tell where, like, some of the ink, a lot of the ink, when the pages were sticking together, the ink had spread and it messed up. Excuse me, guys, my nose is running. You can see where a lot of it just, see, you can't really make out some of this stuff, but there's some words that stands out. This says to detox. You can see here where this says, I am strong. You know, it probably looks, yeah, I am strong. There's some words that you can still just make out, you know, and this is just my opinion. I feel that this is, you know, what needed to stand out to me most. But yeah, like this, it's just amazing. A lot of this stuff is just me, the things that I used to write down, my prayers. I used to just write down stuff that I wanted to talk to God about, things that I needed to, you know, just meditate on. But yeah, this was one of my books, my spiritual book, and it did not get destroyed. There's so much in here that I can still just read, and that's such a blessing because this book means a lot to me. My Bibles, I have 2 Bibles. Both of my Bibles did not get destroyed. They're not even like to this point where it's some stuff is messed up. Like it's completely still intact. I had a couple of other spiritual books up there that did not get destroyed. Like that whole shelf was, it got touched, but nothing got destroyed, and that was amazing to me. And I really just wanted to share that. Like, I know that God is with me through this whole process. He's still with me. You know, he never left my side. And instead of asking, you know, why God, why me? You know, this is, it should be more of a question, okay, like, what do you want me to do with this? What do you want me to learn from this? And how do you want me to use this? And so I'm still learning to this day. I'm still learning what he's showing me and how to continue to be strong. And I help other people to be strong, you know, when they're going through some hard times. But he has never left my side. You know, he's been there through it all. And I feel like this is proof to show. This is proof in a way to show that he's been there by my side this whole time. And he gives me the strength that I need every day. When on the times that I feel like crying about it, that I feel upset about it, he gives me that happiness, that peace. Like, you're in a better place now. You know, he's guiding me. He's taking me to new doors, and he's building me up, and I'm forever grateful for this experience. In a way, even though I lost a lot of stuff, I lost everything, I gained a lot of things as well, with not only with him, but just in life in general. I gained so much with him. And I'm forever grateful to have this relationship with him. And I'll close it out with this. You know, if you've gone through a traumatic experience and you're lost and you feel like, man, you know, why me? Why is this happening to me? Don't change the way that you're questioning it. Change the way that you're viewing it, because it's gonna be you, and there's a reason why it's you. And I feel like my why is because I needed to share this experience, and to share that even though it's some things that has happened, I can still survive. It wasn't the end of me. It wasn't the end of my life. It wasn't the end of where I was at. And, you know, I can continue to work hard and get better things, gain more things. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm only going to use this to elevate me and to bring me higher and to make me happy. I'm not going to allow this to bring me down. And that was the mindset immediately after. I was like, I'm not going to let this bring me down. I'm not going to allow this to knock me down, to put me in a depression, which I was depressed for a couple of days after this happened. And I want to say I was even depressed unknowingly. Like, I was in denial that I was depressed. And so once I started viewing it from a different perspective, it became a positive thing. It became a happy thing, right? I was able to go around and smile, and I got back in the gym. I was out of the gym for like 3 months because I just didn't feel myself, and it was a lot. It was a lot to then go back into the social world, and, you know, I had already shared it with everybody. And then, you know, of course, people are going to ask you, they're concerned. And I wanted to get to a point where I could smile about it. I could be happy about it, you know, and not allow it to knock me down. So with that being said, again, if you're going through something, if you've been through a fire, if you have lost everything, don't let it be the end of you. Don't let it be the end of your story. Just keep going, keep pushing, continue to build a relationship with God or with the universe, whoever you pray to, you know, continue to build that relationship. and continue to just be happy. Don't let it knock you down, because I guarantee you things will get better, and they can get better. Only if you choose to. You have to choose it. I chose that I wasn't going to let this knock me down. So I'm happy that I chose to get up. I'm happy that I chose to smile about it. I'm happy that I even decided to make this video and share this experience. And I hope that it touches somebody, because you never know what someone is going through. I'm that type of person where I look happy all the time, and I go through things as well. You know, society has this whole phase or this picture where everybody just looks happy, but we all go through stuff, and it's okay, and you're gonna be okay. You're gonna make it through. So I hope that this video did something for you. I hope that it gives you the motivation that you need to keep pushing and to do better, to be better, and just know that you are loved and you are not alone.